It's a copper load.
Can you talk us through this petition to close? I believe it's called the BOM petition to close.
LF bomb. Yes, I can.
So what's the story there? That's sections 23, 24.
So, yes,
Which one is that?
there's a lot to be said about that petition. Which in my previous meeting, I voiced my concern about the actual legality of that petition in the first instance. So number one, we'll talk about the petition itself. So the LF bomb petition to close a road is the road in yellow that is shown on the property line between section 23 and 24. It begins below Filson Road, crosses Filson Road, which is now Cox Lane, I believe, below Filson. But at that time, none of these other roads were really on here except the Dianthony Road. So what is in yellow is the LF bomb petition, and that abandoned roads north, per the description, to where the yellow ends in section 13 and 14 on the property line, and then it abandoned that part of the Red Hill Road that was northeasterly in section 24. But those roads were closed. They still remain to be county roads. They're just closed at this point. Now, back to the. Do you have that petition?
Yeah, hang on.
One thing that I wanted to bring up with you guys and Corey, the petition.
Did I give you the petition or the other document?
I have the petition, and yeah, this
You're
would
good?
would be the viewer's report and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So my concern with the petition is that if you look at the viewer's report, which is attached to it, and I can show you this, and I verified this, and Ann, you can help me with this. Commissioner, the viewers for this petition were two county commissioners, Willis Smith and Ed Boyer. Now, Ann pulled this information for me and said, yep, in 1954, those were two of the county commissioners. Well, the law at the time specifically states that county commissioners, only one county commissioner and the county surveyor can view a road to be closed, abandoned, or affected by that.
Then they appoint other viewers that are not in those offices. Is that the deal? Can they have? Because they can have a larger.
Well,
number,
the statute says that it has to be can't be any more than one of them, and the county surveyor, or I would assume somebody that they could appoint. But in this instance, they violated the statute. They went out there and they viewed a road to be abandoned, and it was two county commissioners. So I don't know exactly. Like I said it seemed like to me that was one of these good old boys got together and started closing roads out there after the lake was filled, because it was very, very obvious that the government themselves, through the records that I've provided, said that the roads, plural, in the Winston area are to remain open for access to Canyon Ferry Reservoir.
Joe, may I interject something?
Yes.
I believe Willis Smith was at that time. I'm not sure. I know Ed Hoyer was a commissioner, but I don't know if he was at that time. Would you
Okay, well, we would have to confirm that. And I'm not here to dispute that petition. I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the board. That road has, again, it's at the very worst, that road is closed. And again, that closure wouldn't even apply to me as a private property owner, because I have a property interest in that road, and my interests were not settled under that petition, because not one of my predecessors signed or were served or were properly noticed of the abandonment. There's no record of that. There's no record of even publication, but as the Attorney General has stated, it takes a lot more than just publication in a newspaper to abandon a private party's ownership rights in a public road.
But you also, what was it, 54? I mean,
Yeah.
we're over 50 years past that, 60 years past that, so we're not going to, at this
Yeah,
point, you couldn't challenge it.
Doesn't that
Oh,
petition also return the right-of-way to the landowners?
No, the petition requests that, but the minutes do not reflect that. So there was no land, the petition requests that the land be turned back. But as Mr. Mildred states in his report, there's no record, and the adoption under that petition makes no reference to any land going back to the property owners.
Well, I guess where I am at this point, and I'm still digging through this. I mean, you guys have done an impressive amount of research. I'm not ready to give you a legal opinion on the Danny Authy Road yet, because I think there's a little more work that needs to be done, basically by me to wade through these documents. I don't see any evidence that would support a county commission finding that these pink roads up here are Leffler Road and therefore a county road. Everything we have from that petition ends at sections 14 and 13, as far as property owners that are specifically listed as the ones that are going to be crossed.
But the
And
petition,
let me finish.
I need to interrupt you
And
for it.
no, let me finish. Then you can.
Okay.
And I don't think this sweeping declaration of grazing lands to the north, there's just not enough particularity there for you to declare a route. So I think that this Leffler Road ended somewhere in the 13 to 14, section 13, section 14 area. And even if we wanted to find a way for it to be farther north, there has to be more evidence than what is before the commission right now. So it's just because they're visible on aerial photography. I don't know that means anything, because we could find tons of information, but certainly the information of, people went out there and they drove and they created 2-track roads isn't sufficient for the county to find a road. So I think that's kind of the weak link in the chain here. The Danny Authy Road, I'm happy to spend a little more time on that. That may well in fact be a county road, but I don't think this Leffler Road can be created based on the evidence here, or recognized based on the evidence here.
Well, and I think that specifically in regards to the Leffler Road, I think it takes more of a common sense approach. I mean, it's obvious that the commissioners were aware that there were private properties back there.
But it's not. How is that obvious though? Because the people.
So
that
you're
are,
saying the county commissioners?
No, what I'm saying is the document that they have shows property owners in sections 24, 23, 13, and 14.
But that was the only private property at the time.
The description of the lands through which the proposed highway passes and the owners thereof follow to wit.
Those are the fee simple owners. This was still, these homesteads were not perfected until 1926.
All right, well.
The county records reflect that. So we're talking about land that was still in the homestead process. There were homesteaders back there, the commissioners knew it. The fatigue had been patented by that time.
But if there's a homestead, that doesn't mean there was a county road going to it.
At this time, BLM
petition-
didn't exist, and that was called public domain. You did not need a county road or an easement to cross that to get to your mining claim, homestead, whatever. So it's possible that what this does is gives them a county road through the private property to the beginning of what was then public domain. And at that point, there's no need for an easement, there's no need for a county road. So I don't think that evidence supports the establishment of a county road. I think it actually supports that the county road ended somewhere in 13 and 14.
But the petition and the adoption specifically state from this point forward, as the viewers see fit for a road to facilitate the property owners with commerce to and from market. The market was Placer City. There's a railroad tracks. I mean, we're talking 1915 here, okay?
1918, yeah.
He mentions 2-track roads. Well, yeah, there's a lot of 2-track roads. There's a lot of 2-track roads in this county that are county roads. In that era, we're talking horses, wagons, that type of thing. Just because the road was never improved past what it is today does not mean that it is not a county road. Now, I'm not saying that, and that's up to your guys' discretion. We're just stating that there was an adoption of county roads here that facilitated people with access per that Dianthony petition. Now, Jacob Baum in section 2 signed that petition. and he had a homestead in section 2. How the hell did he get there if it wasn't on a county road? Because he had to cross, when all of this land was settled, and again, there was the Lefflers, Halls and Dianthonys in section 6, we had Ostlers, we had all of the people in the river bottom. We had multiple ownerships in section 11, Mrs. Atkins, we had the Lefflers. At that time, early on, the McMasters owned very little of this land, and then they eventually acquired more and more of it, which made up the ranch. But the sum of the property was owned by Lizzie Atkin McMaster, who it appears to me from the public record, she married a couple different people in this area and acquired a lot of this property. And then it appears she inevitably or subsequently ended up marrying James McMaster. And then the McMaster's family, as we know it today, Dolly, her brother had died, but they were through a will or something with the estate. That's how they kind of ended up with all of this property. But Mrs. Atkins, who owned most of this, she specifically reserves and accepts and saves all county roads. And we have the same instance in the ownership of section 12 and 13 and in 23. So there was a lot of reservations for county roads. So I think that's even more evidence for you guys to, I guess, look at and think about, because why reserve a county road if there's no reason, or why save it? Why, things like that. And it's even today as recent as the Conservation Fund's deed to the BLM. It reserves county roads. Now, that might be a usual deed requirement these days, but was it in 1915, 16, 17, 25, 35, 45? I don't think that it was. Those people knew that those county roads were there.
I would just, if Baum had if whoever that was on the petition had a homestead in section 2, and he's crossing public domain, he doesn't need a county road. Once he gets through the private property, at that point he doesn't need a county road. And keep in mind, what you also see with all these adoptions of county roads and petitions through all that era is who's going to pay for it. Because they're establishing a county road, but that means they got to go out and they got to survey it, they got to level it, they got to grade it, they got to gravel it, whatever. And that costs a lot of money. The county is not going to just go out and willy-nilly expand county roads here, there, anywhere, because they're stuck paying for maintaining
Well,
those.
and I don't. That
And
goes
so-
to frame of mind, though, Corey. You don't know what their mind's.
No, I do. You read the documents. It's very clear.
They were out to settle this county and get established. They needed to make tax dollars, and the only way to get tax dollars and to get things going to pay for these roads was settlement. And these settlers needed roads. It's right in the petition. It says for commerce. That's what the petition says.
Okay. Well,
So,
I
and
just-
we can argue all
that's
day.
what I would leave
you know,
it with that. I almost said judge, your honor, whatever. I'm just kidding, of course. I can do more research on the Danny Othy, unless some miracle document appears on the Leffler Road. There's just no basis for it in sections 11, 12, 1 and 2. The pink lines specifically that you guys are looking on that map. So, in fact, I think it'd be an easy, if you did recognize it, I think it'd be an easy lawsuit to lose, because I don't think there's any evidence to support a decision saying it is a county road or ever was a county road.
Well, I do know this.
I think the Danny Othy one is a closer question. I need to do a little more work on that. I'm not ruling that out at this point.
So again, the roads in sections 1 and 2, that was fee simple land. My mining claim was there prior to that land being homesteaded. If I have to argue in federal court with the BLM and BOR, so be it. But I respectably ask this board to take a common sense approach, especially with a petition that is specific for commerce. Those owners had to get out of there. And I believe that they did it on a county road that the commissioner said, yep. And the reason is that as this land was settled, these people were getting locked out. I mean, there was a road here one day, and then somebody comes in and gets a homestead, and he homesteads, and includes the road, and they think that they own it. Well, until that road's adopted as a county road, they're landlocked, and that's what appears to have happened here, and it happened all over.
So what's the year on this mining claim?
1907.
And then, what,
And it was,
were they bringing it down this road and then going down the river, or were they hauling it
No.
overland to the highway?
well,
Whatever it is they got out of it.
they would have got out of there in the shortest route possible, and there wasn't much of a road down the valley following the river and connecting and then going over the grade to where Canyon Ferry Road is now today. I mean, you're not gonna pull a wagon loaded with ore and make that route. I believe that their most obvious route would have been on the closest route, the Dianthony Road, which would hit here, and then they would travel to the old smelter works. Because there was a smelter in East Helena as early as, 1898, I think, is when that, I think it was Mountains, Montana, something smelter works. So the smelter was operating there that early.
And so your claim with the BLM is that there's a road there. One of your things was by prescription. What was the other one? By implication, or what was it?
Oh, we threw everything. I threw every argument at him that I can, and I was waiting be able to perform discovery until we pinned one of those arguments down. But they weaseled their way out of a lawsuit. They closed on this ranch with the cloud on the title, which is still the legal aspects of that are still
No,
being.
but your current BLM one, you're saying the same, right?
My current, no, that's just for maintenance of roads in there, so we can, get in and out of there. I mean, the weeds right now are up to the bumper of your pickup. And this is how BLM operates. We're in the extreme fire, I mean, everybody's gotta agree, last year was probably the worst I've ever seen, anybody's ever seen. So I'm in there saying, hey, I wanna spray these weeds, I wanna bump off that sod off the road, I don't wanna start a fire going in and out of here. Their answer's, nope. But they'll give me a permit to drive in and out of there, but they won't allow me to maintain a road. So getting a permit from them is absolutely not gonna work for me. And it doesn't work because, again, you have to report, and then if I'm back there and somebody wants to come visit, then that has to be reported, and it's just, it's a police type of state. It's awful. It's awful. And like I was talking with Cliff, put yourself in our position. Prior to government ownership, we had no access issues. None. And shortly after they bought the ranch, they shut the gate. I pull in to go to my property, and there's a padlock on it. Well, I call BLM, and they gave me the combination. But then after that, they changed the lock, and every time I want to go to my property, I've got to call them, go through about a week process of getting a variance to their travel plan. But that's neither here nor there. That their own ignorance resulted in me discovering and proving to you gentlemen that this road is, in fact, this road's clearly an adopted county road. It clearly has not been abandoned. And it doesn't matter if there's a fence across it or whatever, there's obstructions, the road has not been abandoned. Mr. Mildren, the surveyor, the evidence is clear. So that's what brings me to you today. And the only thing that I asked, and at the last meeting was, there's no determination of this being a county road required. It's already a county road. I just asked for your permission to do that maintenance that it's long overdue. And that's why I came to the board. Abandoned or not, I still have a private interest of accessing that road. But it has not been abandoned.
Joe, if everybody recognizes that as a county road, are you gonna do the maintenance, the snow plowing, the leaf spraying?
I would take care of that to some extent, until, I guess what you don't want, Cliff, until it's really used extensively by the public, which that's the purpose of the road. It provides, I mean, currently, you guys couldn't even, if this was a road that you decided to abandon, it can't even be abandoned under state law anymore because it accesses the lake and public land. Even if 10 freeholders came in at this point and said, I want to abandon that road, that's impossible.
Well, I don't know that I agree with that. But this, even the Danny Authy Road, if it's claimed by the commission, that's at least 4 miles
Mm-hmm,
of maintenance.
mm-hmm.
And we're talking, it's gonna be pretty much akin to construction in some places. So that's gonna be a big bill that somebody's gonna have to foot.
Well, there are, as the county commissioners know, they can elect which roads to maintain and which roads not to.
Okay, they can also close roads.
They can't close it to me,
Why not?
because according to the Attorney General of Montana, you can't close a county road that provides me and the property owner with access. It would be closed to the public.
But it doesn't provide you access. You gotta get from there to there.
Well, I will get to there, and I will take my fight with the government to there. I am not even concerned about winning that battle.
Okay, so and you told
And
us
again,
last time that your grand plan here is to do a full service marina.
I'd like to put a service down there.
How are you, but where, you're gonna have to do that on Bureau of Rec land.
I can get a lease from Bureau of Rec. It's just an application process.
So the bigger focus for you is getting to point D, regardless of what happens with your land.
Well, no.
That's a
No,
question,
the
not a
focus
statement.
is getting to my land. But again, because of the developments here, there's some potential for the county, the public, and myself to develop an interest site down there. Because again, it's a county road. And I believe that again, the road in section from D up to the Fatigue property, I believe that to be a county road as well, because of the Leffler petition.
I just think I think that is the weak link, is the Leffler petition. I just can't imagine. I mean, I would certainly not advise the commission to rely on that to say that that's a county road. I think that's an easily attacked assertion. The Danny Authy, like I said, I need to do a little more work on that. So, in your appeal to BLM, though, you're asserting. Get to it here. So you're saying Fatigue Access Road is a public highway. Are you referring to this as a Fatigue Access Road?
Mm-hmm.
This or all the way down to the highway on Danny?
Well, at that time, before discovering it's a county road, it's from section 1 to D and then on out, yes.
Based on the statute dealing with certain highways from 1895? What was the basis?
Yeah, the
for
codes
that?
and statute, well, again, existing state law at the time, which, again, it goes back to we gotta talk about dates here, we're talking as far back as 1907, with the location, and then eventual patent, 10 years later, I believe it was, of the Fatigue, so.
So the Fatigue was established in 1907. Is that accurate?
Mhm.
But this says highways is enacted
The
in 1895.
The status of the law for public roads across the public domain in Montana, the codes and statutes, section 2600, 1895, clearly states that any road now here traveled becomes a public road by operation of law.
Which was 12 years before that was established,
Mhm,
before
but
your
that-
mining claim was
But
established.
that status of that law remained in effect. It went away for a period of about 5 years, and then it was reenacted up into somewhere in the 20s. I mean, the history, I have all the history.
Okay.
But again, I don't want to, BLM has nothing, there's no, yeah.
Okay. And then, so the next one you're saying is necessity. implied easement by necessity, right? As far as the BLM goes. And what's the basis for that? Strictly necessary to, strictly
not-
necessary to, at that point you have an in-holding, right?
Yes.
And it's so necessity to access your in-holding across public domain land.
Well, it would, yeah, prescription, necessity, county road. There's several arguments that one could take up with the BLM, but I'm not here to discuss that. I'm here to discuss Dianthony Road and my access to my property on it.
Okay, and
Where's the
then
fatigue mine again?
It's right up here.
this big, so,
Right, part of yours? Part of that same area?
Yeah. that's right. What's your,
Well, I just never knew where the fatigue, I knew where your mine was, but I didn't know where the fatigue.
well, that
was.
is the fatigue.
Oh, it is
It
the
is the
fatigue,
fatigue
okay.
load, yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
and then I thought I had a prescription one in here. Did you have a prescriptive easement claim?
Are you referring to the appeal?
Yeah. It was in your original petition too, I believe. Wasn't there?
Yeah, there was, again, we had just threw every argument at the kitchen sink, and as the litigation was going to work its way out, discovery, things like that, we would, because there was going to have to be, as any litigation, a certain amount of discovery. And we believed at that time, through discovery and records, which, again, through discovery in this appeal process, can I see my folder that I provided for you?
So here's the issue.
So
What
let-
you're,
may I
what you're,
finish? May I
sure,
finish?
go ahead.
So, during this appeal process with BLM, after a 5-year fight and finally having to request specific documents from the government, we have an exclusive road easement, and the language of that easement is very clear, and it says that all of the lands owned by BLM are currently public roads, and that through reasonable rules and regulations of the secretary, that a licensee or a permittee of the BLM can maintain, affect, construct, and reconstruct those existing roads. So, I've been nothing but open with this county about this road, with you, Corey. I'm not asking for anything more than the right thing here. The government themselves has cheated, they have outright lied, and they've concealed documents. During this acquisition process, it's called a CIP, it's a Certification of Inspection and Possession, and that is required prior to the BLM or the government closing a transaction like this. I'm in litigation with the Conservation Fund on the Certification of Inspection and Possession for the closing of this ranch in 2011. It is signed by the BLM right-of-way officer, and it specifically states in that officer contacted the Conservation Fund, and the Conservation Fund said there were no problems with this property. On that day, we had been litigating for 6 months prior to that. We're still in litigation, and they closed the ranch in the middle of the litigation to weasel their way out of state jurisdiction and to bring my fight on a federal level. These people are not, they're not nice people. They played hardball with us for a very long time. They offered to purchase the property. They offered us $1,500 or $2,000 an acre. We didn't think that was enough. We went ahead and had the property appraised through a licensed appraiser out of Bozeman, Montana. He came back with a value of $10,000 an acre. We submitted that to the BLM and the Conservation Fund. They again refused. They said, nope, that we're not going to pay that for it. And then ever since that date, they have just left us landlocked. I have tried over the years we have tried to trade it. We have tried to do everything that we can to get out of that property, but they would leave us just sitting there without access. And that access has left us, well, until this development with the county road would have ended up in a, well, more likely than not, unless we're successful with our appeal, which we probably would be or will be, in a federal lawsuit with these people. And for what? Because I want to go home? They're awful.
So you're referring to the litigation that you're not in any longer with the Conservation Fund. You said I'm assuming you remain, back then you were in litigation, you're not still.
We were in litigation, and now because the government owns the land, we can't even litigate in state court. They
So,
took that power away from us and said, too bad, Smouse family, that ain't right.
but you didn't file an injunction to stop the sale while you were in litigation, did you?
We weren't even the last thing we heard from the government in the litigation was an affidavit from Bill Gates, the Executive Vice President, Montana for the Conservation Fund, with an affidavit stating that the BLM is aware of this lawsuit and Mr. Schmaus, as one of the statements in there. We had a hearing with Judge Reynolds. They had filed a motion to dismiss it because BLM was not named as a party, and BLM, because they weren't named as a party, and we're a federal agency, there wasn't standing. We were waiting on that appeal. So we're waiting on this appeal, and in the middle of waiting for the judge, because we had counter arguments to that, stating that they didn't have a property interest in the land because they were just the purchaser. They had not purchased it. They were not in fee simple title. So we're waiting for a judgment from Judge Reynolds, and what do? They just sell the property anyway.
Well, but again, it's where we are today. I mean, that's all
Yes.
that's all water under the bridge for you. For
All's
today,
I'm-
you're asserting with us and then with the BLM two completely opposite theories as to your access. So that's part of my concern here.
No.
Let me finish. There's not a mention anywhere in BLM documents that these are county roads. Everything you're doing is an assertion on other possible methods of getting access, assuming that these aren't county roads. And then you're coming to us and saying, slam dunk, these are county roads. So, I mean, that inconsistency, it's kind of like you gotta pick which horse you're gonna ride.
Well, you're the lawyer, Corey, can't you read? It's right in my complaint. It states right in the complaint, this is a county road. That was filed in 2010. It states in that document that on top of the argument that it's a county road, and that's all in hindsight, and I'm not here to argue with you, believe me, or you guys. The fact of the matter is, gentlemen, it's a petitioned county road. You can't deny that, Corey.
No, I haven't admitted it. I'm telling you, I'm reserving judgment until I can get through this mountain of documents.
Well,
But
that's
what
what-
I'm telling the commission, I've said it 3 times, I don't probably need to go much farther. This portion up north here, the pink lines, I don't see any basis for calling those county roads. The blue, I'm still working on that, the Danny Offie. So, commissioners, that's kind of where I am on this.
And I would like to just, now Corey had requested, at our last meeting that I had with you guys, it's stated on the record, it's on YouTube. All I had to do is come back, get the Mildren report. Now I went one step further and even provided a nice map that, none of this is for free. And I'm footing the bill for all this. And at that meeting, it was determined that if I could establish that this road, A, B, C, has not been, and D, has not been abandoned, that I could get your permission to affect the road. That's why I'm here today. And again, I must state, regardless if the road had been abandoned, which it has not, I don't lose my access rights. But because it's a county road, I have to have your permission to do anything with it. And I would appreciate you untying my hands. Now, again, I ask you to, the roads in section 1 leading up to the fatigue, if you need some time to deliberate on that and see where you're at on that, I can completely understand that. But the documentation, the petition, no abandonment, Mr. Mildren's report, where he agrees and concludes that the surveyor is correct, I think we have enough information here for you guys to make a decision. Corey asked for this stuff in advance. I got him the information in advance. The meeting was, again, rescheduled. And I understand, you know, Corey's busy, a very busy man. But this, at some point, this has to come to an end. We've been waiting 12 years. And now with this development, I don't think we should have to wait another minute.
Well, it's called burden of proof. What I told you at the last meeting is provide all this information, I'll review it, and I'll give a legal opinion. At no point did I promise that you show up with, and I admit, you've done an impressive amount of work. This survey has been very helpful, trying to figure out all the spaghetti threads here of roads. But I have to give my best assessment to the commission, not just to you. I mean, my concern though is that we're clearly on the third round here. You've had 2 rounds previously in state court and then now in front of a federal agency. And what you've said all along for most of those 12 years is very inconsistent, like 100% inconsistent with what you're saying now. So I've got to be able to go through all that and decipher it and give the commission my best legal opinion. So right now, I can tell you my best legal opinion is that northern portion has no basis for being
Well,
claimed as a county road. I'm still working on the blue. This meeting's been very helpful. It's provided a lot of information where I had questions as to some specific actions, abandonments, etc. So this has been a good meeting for me in terms of clarifying the evidence. But there's case law that I still am reviewing. I've been gathering research, as you can see, since really the first day we met. And I'm not ready to give a final answer on that. Partially, additionally, because we have a private property owner who's affected by this, and the commission needs to be able to hear from him as well as any other members of the public. So, that's,
Well, this
if you want a decision today, I can tell you the first part of it. I can't tell you the second part of it. I shouldn't say a decision. It's their decision. My recommendation.
and I have,
Would there have to be a public meeting anyway? for
Yeah,
any of this?
there needs to be a public
I
meeting.
disagree with that.
Well,
The road's already a petitioned road. It doesn't have to be, there's no such thing in the statute or definition for re-adopting a county road. It's already an adopted county road, Corey.
well, that's your theory.
Why is that a theory? There's no law
Because
on the
nobody's
book.
been driving on this road for 50 years.
I have been
that-
driving on this
Okay,
road.
well, yeah, I mean, perhaps you've been doing some other things that you don't want to tell us about. The point is, this is a significant change from how it's been treated for a significant amount of time. The public, that's
I
a
know,
public interest issue, and it's certainly an interest for the ranch that goes through. So,
Well, and I've already spoken with Chris, and I'm willing to work with Chris, and hopefully we can come to some avenue as to far as working together that works out for best for both of us. Isn't that right, Kurt? We can possibly work something out.
I
If
would
that's
hope
what
so.
we would have to do. I
I would
mean,
hope so, but what I understand is that the Antioch Road goes west of all of my property.
well,
no, it goes right through
It goes-
13 and 12.
it's coming through here. There is another route, and again, this other route is what would be another one of these Dianthony roads, which comes right around you.
That's the one I'm looking at.
And I know that there could possibly be some negotiations through the county and with possibly the BLM, but at that point, I don't want those negotiations to hinder my access.
Well,
Because there is a road that goes right around Cox's. It's clearly there. It's right there. I mean, it comes right around him. It connects with, and that's possibly one of those roads of the Leffler petition. If we can't rely on the Leffler petition, then Cliff, I hate to tell you, but you're stuck with the county road.
not yet. That's up to the commissioners. It's not up to
this part hasn't been used for years. There's a two-track.
Oh, there's a lot of that road that hasn't been used for years by the
This,
public, for sure.
people that did the quarry up here upgraded this road from County
Mhm.
Road to there, that far. From there on, it's just a two-track back to where I've got a stock tank right there and I get cattle in that corner. This was closed by Bud McMaster back in the 50s. He put a tank trap in that road. Just plowed it up. So this road is basically a two-track down to the bottom of the draw right here, and we use it for access to get to this fence.
Mhm.
Last summer, when there was a fire back here, it was back in this area, we came in on this road and got to it.
Mhm.
And it's passable. It's
Mhm.
without going through any private property.
Yeah, and I'm willing, but the powers to be, again, this, well, you guys know, what are you running up against Iron Mask for? Because the BLM's nice and easy to work with? They love closing down county roads. I don't have to tell you guys.
Well, that's where I am, commissioners. My recommendation is, if Mr. Schmaus is insisting on a decision today, he's probably not gonna get the decision that he wants. If you want me to do a little more work on the law and all this stuff on Danny Offey Road, this meeting has clarified, the hazy spots that I had. I can continue to do that. Unless, like I said, unless something drops out of heaven on the northern portion, I just don't see a basis to get there. On what he's calling the left of the road, I just don't see it.
In section 6 and 1, but we're good with A through D.
No, I'm not saying we're good. I'm saying I'm gonna do more research. I'm saying that is the question that's still open. I don't see the area up north, yeah.
So you're saying that the title guy, Mildren Land Services, and the surveyor, you had said yourself, Mildren was one of the best guys, yep, he'll work.
Yep, he did a
Yep,
great
we can
job.
do this. Well, he did do a great job.
Yep.
And his work reflects this, as well as the surveyor's work.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the commission has to realize, you have the copy of the opinion of the Attorney General. I've provided it in emails and as well as hard copies. I don't lose my access rights even if the road was abandoned. It just don't happen that way.
Well, I
You
don't agree.
You
I don't agree
don't
with
lose
that.
your assets because you're allowed a specific easement to get in there. You still have your assets. I mean, there's people in the Elkhorns that have the exact same problem.
But that road was not a county road, and we're talking about a county road that has clearly not been abandoned here.
Well,
And in the retrospect that it had been abandoned, I wouldn't lose my access rights, and I would not be required to have a permit for the BLM.
the only problem I have with this is there are a bunch of possibles and maybes in here. And there's, some of these roads were affected. Some portions were abandoned. Which ones were abandoned?
If you read the last sentence of Mr. Mildren's report, he concludes and agrees with the survey. He based his research off of written documents that had no maps attached to them and very, very poor, which was something of the era, legal descriptions. But he does conclude that he agrees with the surveyor.
It's only a review of road records and not to be construed as a legal opinion, insurance, or legal advice.
Oh, that's the wrong sentence. But yeah, no, that's his disclaimer, which everybody would have.
Well, we all have to
That's the
do our,
disclaimer.
we all have to do our part, and his part was well done, and, he's not he knows better than to provide a legal opinion, so that's where we are. So commissioners, what do you want me to do? You want me to keep
Myself,
researching
speaking
the
as
Danny
one
Offey?
commission-
Say again?
Speaking as one, speaking as one commissioner, we rely on your expertise to guide us. And so, as far as I'm concerned, we're gonna go with what you say.
And I agree
Oh, I'm
with that.
sorry.
So, do you want me to keep researching the Danny Offey portion?
Yes.
I would,
Do you have
And
any,
anything else that we can discover?
I would
Okay.
appreciate a
Sounds good.
little respect here.
how,
I would.
okay, how am I
I would.
disrespecting you?
Commission, County attorney,
How am I disrespecting you? Joe?
I was still trying to answer a
Oh,
question.
okay. Well, the interruption's been the order of the day, so
On-
go ahead.
Okay, so the road report was written on February 26th of 18. the surveyor's map was prepared on the 7th, and the cover letter sent for this survey was March 7th from Mildred Land Services, and that's where it states, Mike, my apologies, that he agrees with the survey.
I thought you were bringing it to a vote.
It's up to them.
And the cover letter on March 7th specifically states from Mildred Land Services that he agrees with the surveyor.
He concurs, and I quote, with his representation of the county documents.
Mhm.
It doesn't say that. It's
He
not really-
concurs with the representation of the county documents per the surveyor.
Yeah, the document says what it says. We're good.
I'd just like to say I have to kind of appreciate Joe's bulldogging this, fighting this issue, keeping on it. If it was mine, I'd go build a boat dock and just go in by water, and to hell with the BLM and the county roads. That's
Well, then why don't you sell me your land in section 24, Cliff, and buy a boat?
my land in section 24.
Yeah, then you're landlocked.
I'd sell you the section, but I'd have to have access back.
Well, yeah, and that's
You
where
didn't-
I'm at.
You didn't
Again,
sell anything to eliminate your access.
no, I didn't. And because the way the public land laws were written, Corey, you know, that was 1907, public domain laws. And the people that wrote those laws and the government agency that manages this land is just problematic.
I'm just saying I admire your tenacity on this issue. I wouldn't do it. I'd just go buy a boat.
Yeah, and the point here though is, I mean, you told us last time that you purchased that land knowing there was a question on access. And I'm not, and I'd never met you till what, a month or two ago. I'm not trying to be, difficult here, but the reality is that this is a you problem that's now become a me problem, an us problem. And I'm not comfortable just
Well,
walking in and immediately going, yeah, sounds good, do whatever it is you want, because there's a lot of implications, whether it's maintenance, whether it's rights of other property owners, whether we turn around and get challenged by somebody else. All those things have to be thoroughly vetted. And I appreciate your tenacity as well, but I can tell you part of this, I just don't see the evidence matching up for it. The other part, I'm gonna keep working on it, and I have absolutely no dog in this fight, one way or the other. I'm gonna give the commissioners my absolute best, most unbiased, supportable by the law and the facts, legal opinion, and that's what I can do. And whether you like it or don't like it, that's all I can do, because I'm a stranger, I've never been on this land, never met you till recently, I'm a stranger to this issue, so I'm gonna do what I believe the law and the facts support. That's all I can do.
and it,
That's all we can ask for too.
well, yes, and I appreciate that, Corey, but it does take an official act. Once a county road is adopted as a county road, it stays a county road until officially abandoned. This road's petitioned and it's never been abandoned.
Well, we gotta work that out, gotta figure that out.
Well, you don't think that, what more information are you going to find than what Mildred and the surveyor have provided
Well,
you?
until we look, we won't know. I'm telling you right now, I've got more information on this than I anticipated would come out of this thing. I mean, we're 3-4
Again,
inches
anything
deep
from-
right now.
Anything from the BLM though makes no,
Well, so it is a concern to me that you are presenting a theory for access through them that is polar opposite from the theory of access you're presenting to this county commission. And I think the commission should be aware of that and consider that in,
how's it
In there.
opposite?
you're not claiming it based on county roads, you're claiming it based on all those other theories that we.
No, and the
that we
county
talked
road
about.
argument was in there as well,
Okay.
in those documents. And that's a 2011 case, which got snuffed out. The fact of the matter here too, I want the commission to be aware, is BLM's a fee simple owner here. This is not reserved public land. It's not public domain land that was transferred to the BLM. This is land that the BLM bought, just like any other property owner would buy, and there happens to be a county road running through it. There's a big difference. It's not pressing an issue and making a claim. They had a reservation in their deed for county roads, So there's no argument that the BLM can bring at this point to say, oh, well, it's not a county road. It's a petition county road, and there's a reservation in their deed, as recent as 1997, for county roads. They bought the property, and again, their own legal descriptions calls out Dianthony Road in their legal description, but yet they have told me for 12 years that there's no county roads back there. And that was one of the reasons why in our lawsuit we said, yes, there's county roads, because it's in their legal description for some of the property they bought. Particularly in section 14 and 23 and 24. With that little triangle piece, it's called out because that was included, that invades into Mr. Cox's 24 there, but that was part of the McMaster's Ranch, and that road, it calls out their legal, Red Hill Road and Leffler Road in their legal description, right there in the northeast quarter of section 23. And so they were aware. If not, they had plenty enough notice to do a lot more research. I don't really know if they just ignored it. It seems to me that that's all they do is ignore things. And again, it's not their fight. It's a county road.
I'll entertain a motion. Franklin, you wanna make a motion?
That we go along with Corey's expertise on this before we make any decisions.
Okay, motion's been made to go along with Corey's expertise on this decision. Before we make any decisions, all in favor? Aye.
Do you wanna set a meeting out, get a couple of weeks? I got a bunch of trials coming up, so I'm gonna have to. I think it would make sense though to set this out and maybe give, certainly if any members of the public wanna come be aware of the issue or address it, we can let them know.
This meeting's been advertised. Corey, I would appreciate if you could do this sooner than later if we have to have another meeting. Just for the fact that time's of the essence. Can you do any, you're saying 2 weeks? Again?
I don't know.
The week of the 26th, Commissioner will be here, will be in Great Falls from Marcus.
Yeah, and I've got we're pretty deep into a trial prep that's gonna, what are you guys here on the April 2nd?
Yep.
Yeah.
How about April 2nd?
Okay. Want that in the morning or in the afternoon?
Afternoon would be better if that works for you. So, say again?
That we voted on this year.
Yeah. Okay, so we got one more.
So 1 o'clock, Friday, 1 o'clock, April 2nd.
Sounds good. And then I can see a couple things I need to.
Surveyor, get a copy of this.
Well, you could, I gave these guys 3 copies.
April 2nd, did you
And I only
say?
have one at the house. Do you guys need all 3 of your copies of this map? Do you
No.
need? Can Mr. Cox have one?
You can have that.
You gotta pay me $7.50 though, that's what it costs.
Geez,
So, real quickly,
I think Laura has a copy.
gentlemen, I'm gonna, and you too, Cliff, I'm gonna try to work with you in the next couple weeks prior to this meeting. If I can get with you, I don't know, your cabin still, you done? Let it dry out a little bit, and I'll call you up and I'll come visit you.
okay.
We'll see what we can do, because if we can come up or around, well, Matt, make no difference to me.
This road right here is me. answer.
Yeah.
It avoids me, hopefully, there is better built, better maintained.
And just so I'm clear, so the meeting on April 2nd is just to provide Corey enough time to agree that these roads are county. To agree or disagree
that's
that the
your,
road.
okay, yeah, I thought you were gonna leave it as agree.
Yeah,
I'm like,
agree
man,
or
you're
disagree that
the
the
most
road-
optimistic guy I've ever
Well,
run into.
again, it's petitioned already, so I guess as far as it being a county road, you just. Yeah, we needed to, and I didn't come to the board for a determination of whether it's a county road or not, I just want your permission to do something with it. So where are we at with this April 2nd meeting? What is the point of this? To make, did you guys, to give me permission to do something with the road? Or to have Corey look into
I don't
this?
know how we can give you permission to do something with a road that goes across BLM.
Because it's a county road. Just like
Well-
state highways and all county roads cross BL.
Oh, even if we did give you permission, you still gotta get authority from the BLM, right?
No, it's, you own the right of way, the county, just like when they flooded the lake, they bought those right of ways from the county. That's a county owned right of way, there's 60 feet there, depending, might even be 1878, it might be 66 feet, Corey, huh?
Have to get out the law, the chains on
Yeah.
that one.
But-
So,
At the very least, there's 60 feet of county property there.
so I'll present to you if, not when, but if I come to the recommendation that it's a county road, then I'll present to you what the process is for notifying BLM, et cetera. You can't do it right away, but there's a process. You gotta notify them. You gotta give them an opportunity to vet it through their Office of Legal Counsel, give them an opportunity to respond. And if they agree, or if they don't have a, factual or legal objection, then they're likely to send you back a letter saying, good luck, have fun with it. But if they have some other thing through their research that says otherwise, then they would present that. So it's not an instantaneous thing, certainly. And I think, just so you're aware, I mean, obviously that's gonna affect your BLM appeal. But I guess if it's
Well,
a
I
clean
was
county
hopeful
road, you wouldn't care.
to come out of this meeting today and or pick up the phone and call Ryan Zinke and let him know that the commission agreed with me.
Well,
But
he's a Navy SEAL, he doesn't even need the road, he'll just jump out there
I
in the
know,
lake
but
and.
his office has been some assistance with the BLM, but to the point is, that we're with, with the IBLA and whatnot. But I know that, Miss McGregor and, well, Billy, I was hoping to report to them that, yeah, so the sooner I can get that done, that means the sooner I can inform the IBLA and I can put that appeal to rest, because there's no reason for the appeal, because the road's a county road. They don't have any right, they don't have any legal authority to restrict me from using the road. So that's what I was hoping. So on April 2nd, we hope to return here and have you basically agree or disagree that the DeAnthony Road was not abandoned. Is that,
The whole basis, and what I'm intending to be able to tell the commission by then is my recommendation on whether all or part of the Aniathi, or however you say it, road is a county road, was a county road, still is a county road, et cetera. I'll do more research on the part up north just to make sure I'm not missing something. So I'll have a recommendation on that part as well.
okay.
And if for some reason we're waylaid by something else, I'll give you guys notice in advance. So go from there.
Okay.
But I wouldn't, I wouldn't fire up the road grader just yet.
Well, again, I have other avenues to approach, and, again, time is of the essence. I don't feel that we should be restricted access anymore. So
I hear you.
that's where we're at.
I hear you.
I will continue I'll work with Mr. Cox, but I'll be using this road.
Okay, but keep in mind, if you're working with Mr. Cox on this portion, you gotta work with BLM too, cause that
Well,
goes
and that's,
outside of
there
his
might be
property.
some